just like that, it's Wednesday night.
Right?
Let's Talk Live, brought to you by WAF Racing.
Right. I got to tell you, man, I think I'm enjoying that intro even more. I would say that at least one time we got to try the old one if we can, but just one time. Let bring it up to the viewers. But
the big band when they all come in at one time,
Yeah.
bam! You know, that's when it's fun.
I love the big jazz hands, dude. You know, just like trying to get all.
Well, I noticed that I was having a hard time making my eyes bigger each time.
Yeah.
You know? And my eyes only get so big. But,
right.
Yeah. Well, starting from the top, it's Bruce Colchin was in here at 6:33 p.m. Matthew Ward. Let's see. Mexican Spec is here. Slant Daily Garage. Fab Race Mod Repeat. Hello from Fab Race Mod Repeat. Layer. Buff Del Campo. Mohawk 62. Colleen Tebow is here. Clayton's Toolbox. Lumpy Wi-Fi-B. Hello, folks. Let's see. Kerosene Cucumbers, the greatest name on all of YouTube. Val 360 Jimmy is here. Unity Motorsports Garage Andy is in the house.
Nice.
Mean Street Mopar. Junkyard D is here. Michael Schmidt. Lars 615, which is, if you don't know, Lars. Yeah. LP94 Lars.
Right.
Okay. Dust Devil Garage is here. SSR Performance. What up, everybody? Let's see. And I think Tom Brown is here. And then, yeah.
Speaking of Tom Brown,
well, he sent me a text.
Yeah, me too. So he's actually looking out for all you guys who are going to get a tax return here soon and want to join the Triple Crown. So, Mr. Tom Brown, where are you at? Right here. He sent me. Did I? Oh no, it's right here. So this is what he has right now. So I'm going to it. Hi guys. Tom from up here in North Dakota again. This is one that came from the shop today. I believe it's a 1976 Pinto Clean North Dakota title. It has an S10 rear axle in with a posi. Could be welded, not sure. So 5-hole pattern in the back, 4-hole pattern up front. On the wheels, 302 V8 with a C6. Are from a late 70s, 80s E100 van. He will also have an aluminum 4-barrel intake, and I'm not sure of the brand, and he's asking only the small change of $1,800 for the package. Anybody down, there may be a way to link. It's a steal. Give the guy a call. It is 4 Aces Towing Recovery, and it is 701-290-0066. So if you're getting your tax return here soon and you want to get
the car is like super clean.
Yes, I know. So I'm going to here. I got some pictures here. We're going to go full John Wilburn here.
It's a V8 Pinto.
But here, I mean, it's nice. Look at that.
Yeah.
It's super clean. And then here's the engine, right there. So, and I don't see any problems with it. It's, I kind of look through all the pictures here. I'm thinking if you're looking for a Triple Crown car that's going to be light, that would be competitive, and you're looking to run a Ford,
run a small block Ford, that's the ticket right there.
You figure $1,800 and you're in there. That means you've already got an engine. C6 Trini probably wouldn't run that. There's a lot of power absorbed there, but you basically have a running combination for under $2,000. And all you got to do is put together. You put another couple grand into it, and you're in like Flynn right there, man.
For a Triple Crown entry, the easiest thing to do would be grab that thing for $1,800. On your way home, find a T5 on Marketplace, throw it in the trunk, drag it home, put a T5 in it, and that thing weighs less than a Fox body Mustang. So it would be pretty competitive right up front. Because where is it? I can't remember what the weight numbers are, but at 302 cubic inches, the thing could probably come in at minimum weight.
Yeah, you're gonna be right there. Yeah. I got a little calculator here. 302 times 9. You're looking at 2718.
It's right there, magic number, because that's the minimum weight is 2,700. So you run that manual, that gives you 100 pounds off, and that's it. You're in.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
Let's see. Clint Street Machines is here.
Oh, where's he at? Oh, good. Mr.
He just
Clint.
popped in. And then I'm trying to catch up. Danny Boyd is here. Levi's Backyard Performance is here. Hey gang, happy hump day. How did Lights Out go, Dylan Levi?
Yeah. Yeah. He'll tell us down here because yeah, I want him to tell us because I don't know exactly how it went. Because
I know they got rained out one day.
Yeah, they had live videos, but then Flow Racing, they cut the stream like midway through on the last day. I shouldn't say midway, but they were just kind of talking. I'm like, where's the racing at? And then I realized, oh, they're not going to show any racing. They want you to go to their, page or whatever it is and pay for it. And I'm just like, well, this sucks,
Yeah. Well, we got Yeti Monte is in here. And then Michael Schmidt has our first tech question.
Actually, no, Dust Devil.
Does he? Did I pass
right here. It's up on the screen. I
Okay.
got it. So,
okay. After getting the flow numbers on the heads, is it better to have a smaller lift cam and 6-to-1 rockers, or a bigger cam with? Okay, so
always go with the smaller cam with the bigger rocker ratio because you get better mechanical advantage going the other way, and you have to change direction with less weight on the lifters and the push rods and everything. It's always better. The bigger the rocker, the better. You get a better valve velocity too.
Yeah, higher ratio rocker is always
always
pretty much the winner. What you'll find is valve train becomes very important at that point, like especially like mounting. On a Dodge, it's not too bad because you already got shaft rockers. So I mean, that's you're doing good. So I get the highest ratio rocker you possibly could with the smallest profile of cam that you would want to run.
Yeah. And also too, a big thing about that too is that you can run a little less spring pressure because you're getting the mechanical advantage coming the other way. And usually beehives work great with this. That's the reason why the LSs went to 1.7. They run the beehives. You just get the really small retainer up on top, beehive spring, and you're golden. It's a great winning setup.
Danny Boyd says a C6 won't fit the tunnel. I don't know what to tell you. It's already together. So I'm assuming that the tunnel has been modified.
Michael Schmidt's asking, Desktop Dyno, do these software programs work with flatheads? Basically, it's just an engine. So imagine you can go on those desktops and they have different types of cylinder heads that you can program. So basically, these things are just air pumps. And then you're going to use the crappiest head flow, which still might be a little better than a flathead, but it's still there. Are there any adjustments necessary to the numbers provided by the desktop? I am new to the Desktop Dyno. Yes, they have a head profile, and they have they have an L head design. They don't have a flat head design, but they have an L head design. So it's a really crappy design. And then you can adjust it too by heat and air humidity and whatnot. And being around engines for a while, you know what a really hopped up flathead's going to make. Let's just say 150, 200 horsepower. If you put that in there, so that way you can kind of get all your balances right. Because if you're putting all that in there, it's showing 350, you know something's off. So that way you can tailor it back down to where it's reasonable.
I don't know if they have a flathead option on those Desktop Dynos.
They don't. No, they don't.
So
but
what you want to do is probably pick the poorest flowing head that you can get.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Pick the crappiest head and then use a known combination so that way you can kind of get your scale and set your heat and humidity to get it down to that number and then start playing with it from there. That's what I would do.
Dylan Levi says, damn, Shane reminded me of when my grandma used to take me to school. I used to listen to Swap Shop on the radio. The guy always said the phone numbers with a rhythm. There you go.
That's awesome.
LS Turbo G-Body guy is here. I'd like to join. Got to get my followers up. All right. Well, hey, no problem. You're in the right place.
Yeah. So go over and check out his thing. If he earned your sub, subscribe. But don't do it right now. Right now it's Tech Talk Live. But after this, go check him out.
Danny Boyd's saying the Mustang 2s with the 302 use a smaller flywheel and bell housing, 147 tooth to fit the C4 in there. Okay. I don't know what to tell you. I'm just going by what the text was sent here. I don't know if it fits or not.
I don't know. Yeah. I just basically got that. I read to you what I was given and the pictures, but I'm telling you right now that would be an awesome, awesome, awesome setup for someone because it's literally ready to go. And then because it's lightweight, you could get the small tires, 26 by 8.5. I mean, that would be perfect. Take some weight off the front, keep the big glass in the back, put all the weight where it needs to be. Get it so that way it's like a 40-60 setup almost. Set the engine back a little bit. Man, that thing that'd be rolling.
So Dylan Levi saying he made it down to 5 cars out of 32, one of my best and worst days racing. So yeah, the worst day racing is still, better than work, right?
That's
so
exactly what I told him. I told him the same thing. I was like, look, man, if you're at the track having fun, it's better than any other day because you're still at the track and you're having fun.
Yeah, that sucks though. And it looks like SSR Performance says he ended up going too fast, I think. So he must have broke out. But
yeah, I think it was a double breakout. I'm not gonna say more than that, but I think it was a double rate. And I think first was worse. So I think he had the first worst breakout. So
well, Clint Street Machine says, question, are there any cons to running an AGM versus lead acid battery? And also, can an AGM be cooked to refresh it? I'm assuming not. So they're completely different styles of batteries, right? Like a regular lead acid battery has plates in it. And each one of those lead plates is suspended and then filled with sulfuric acid. And that's what creates the charge essentially between the plates and the sulfuric acid itself. In an absorbed glass matte battery, which is an AGM, they're wound. I want to say they're graphite wound.
Like a spiral almost.
A spiral of glass matte, fiberglass matte, right? But
you can't cook them.
You cannot cook them because there's no lead plates in them.
Yeah, exactly.
So the downside to the regular battery, if you've ever dealt with this before, if you've ever taken a car and jumped over railroad tracks and landed on the other side, and you wondered why your battery doesn't work afterwards, is because those suspended plates sometimes end up getting unsuspended and like heavy bumps and bad roads and all that stuff causes that. And then the plates fall together and dead short.
Yes, right.
Right. So then you'll end up with a battery that's in there, but it won't crank no matter how much you charge it.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's got 2 plates dead shorted together. And vibration is what does that normally.
Yeah.
When they went to the AGM batteries were designed specifically for off-road use where you could shake the crap out of it and it didn't come apart. Right. And it functioned each time. The first company that actually grabbed hold of this AGM technology was Optima Batteries.
Yeah. And
they really did a number with, battery longevity. Like they created batteries that lasted 10, 12 years. And since then, the batteries don't seem to last as long because I'm sure they cut costs. Yeah. But the AGM battery, the negative side to the AGM, it cannot be cooked to clean the plates. And the other downside is they cost about twice as much as a regular battery.
Yeah. And I didn't get in when the wife needed a battery for her car. I didn't get an AGM for that exact reason, is that I can cook a regular battery and just make it relast and it'll be good. And the battery that's in the Lizard King, I bought that in 17, thing's almost 10 years old. And I cook that battery probably every 3 years, throw it back in the car, and it's good to go.
Well, the AGM battery works great for where it was intended to be used.
Yes.
Boats, off-road stuff, rock crawling, trail riding, all that stuff. That's a perfect place for an AGM battery. And to tell you the truth, the double the price is probably 100% worth it because they will last 4 times longer than the lead acid battery with the plates.
It's true. Well, a good one will.
Yes, a good one. All right, so Michael Schmidt says cam spec creation. Lift is determined by flow. Single versus dual pattern is determined by intake and exhaust flow being comparable. How is duration determined by software? Which software?
Oh, no. Basically, duration is determined by how far do you want the engine to and how much RPM do you want to turn. So basically, that is the duration of 50 on the intake. And that will tell you basically where the engine is going to start making power. Lobe separation angle tells you how wide is that power band and how hard is it going to hit and how hard it's going to fall off. Exhaust basically are you looking for upper RPM to carry that RPM longer, or are you just looking for power in a shorter area? That's really what it does. But duration is determined by what RPM do you want to turn the engine at, and at what point do you want torque and horsepower to happen peak.
But he's saying lift is determined by flow, and that's not really the case. Lift is generally determined by like all the other factors before you even get to flow limitation, which like is coil bind and like
Yeah, well, what I'd tell
I guess there's no point in making the valve lift any higher than the head or is capable of flowing.
well, basically where the velocity ends. So
Peak velocity.
basically, yeah. So if it's 650, it meets max velocity, and you gain 4 more numbers at 700. There's no point going past 650
Right.
at running duration. So remember, you're going to have deflection and a few other things in there. So I'd make it about 670 or so. So by the time you do lash, it's running at a running duration of 650. But yeah, I only really lift it to that point. I don't look at max flow. I've said this before. I look at the 300 numbers and the 400 numbers, and the bigger those are, it's going to see that twice. And that's where I set up my cam specs for how it's lifting. Like, do I want to get that thing off seat really fast so I can take advantage of those high flow, low lift numbers and take care of that velocity? Yes. Well, then perfect. Things are going to make a ton of torque doing that.
And see, I've always been like, we've said this a million times. I've always been very conservative on cam numbers, and you buy the best head you possibly can because that's going to extend the RPM range just by itself.
Exactly.
Right. Yep. Then you buy a conservative camshaft, and what you do is you play with rocker ratio to get it dialed in perfectly.
Yep.
That's probably the ideal way to do it. I don't know. Trust me, my first engine wasn't like that at all. It was like everything was put together, just like bottom of the list stuff.
Bottom page. That's the one I want, right?
That's like what I'm putting in there. And then you put it together and it's like, why does this run like dog shit? Well, because nothing was
matched.
Nothing was matched.
Yeah.
Right. The RPM band was different on the intake manifold than it was the camshaft, which was the converter, and your compression ratio was like 8-to-1 after you bled off all your compression. So
Dust Devil says he's going to have a couple questions tonight. Good. Bring them on, man. We're going to get caught up. But here's Levi. Levi said he lost to a double breakout. He went a 598, and then he went a 599. So he had him by 0.2 on the tree, but gave it up on the big end. That's racing. And I'm telling you, man, if it's that close and you lost by that much, you know what, man?
That's when you just like shake the other guy's hand. Like, fuck, we did the best we could. And I mean, it was obviously tight.
Shane, do you have to have special hardware to use the Chevy rockers on Magnum heads? No, actually, no. You can. It's just studs. So typically, you're not going to use the 3/8 stud. I think you're going to use the 5/16, which is the same as 8mm. I believe Comp has got it. I don't know the part numbers off the top of my head. I apologize. I know I've been there almost over 5 years. I just don't. If you call up Alex, so he'll tell you what it is, but literally it's just studs. And then they have usually the guide plates are already on the Magnum heads. I know that the Edelbrock versions are, and then you could just put rockers on there, the Chevy rockers, because they come out to be the same arm length and they fit just fine.
Okay, Skyhawk is saying NHRA or IHRA, which class are each of your race cars running? The only event I go to every year is the AHRA No Name Nationals.
Yeah.
And there is no class. I guess we're no class kind of guys.
Yeah, I'm super no class. Actually, yeah. When I was on the West Coast, the only thing I ever did over there was HRA and NHRA. And the only reason why I did NHRA is because I did the Heritage Series there, where it was like all the older cars. It was like 75 and older, nothing 75 or newer. And it was actually fun because there's no electronics allowed in it. It was nobody with top bulb racers. They couldn't have a bunch of good things, and it was fun. And if you raced in like a 1060 or 960 or 760 or 660 class, it was a pro tree. Then they had the hot rod class, which was a 5/10 tree came down. But I never did any IHRA, but that's the only thing I ever did. And when I left the West Coast, I swore off NHRA, and I've only run AHRA. In fact, my license I have right now is just the AHRA, and then my chassis now is only certed for the AHRA.
And my stuff is I just run the AHRA No Name Nationals, but I mean I'm kind of partial because I was running the AHRA, And then, which brings up the next question. Michael Schmidt has, Dallas, anything holding you back on AHRA? I see IHRA is spending buku bucks. Don't want to see AHRA get shelved. Well, too late. I have already shelved it 3 years ago when my divorce started. I haven't taken it off the shelf yet because I haven't finished my divorce yet. I will eventually take it off the shelf. I don't know what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. And I don't have the buku bucks like the IHRA does. This guy was making the Amazon delivery centers, right? So, I mean, he has money at the yin yang. But I haven't done anything with the AHRA as of yet. But I will let everyone know when I do start doing it, because I will do something. It'll probably be a much smaller scale since I got 50% custody time with my kids. But for right now, I haven't really figured out what we're going to do. Shane and I actually have come up with a really cool drag and drive idea that would be totally bitching to throw out there. And Andy Wood actually helped us kind of, we took a format that we already had and applied it to an idea that Andy gave us, and then tried to make something out of it, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. And it's going to be one class. That's the best thing about it.
Everybody's running in the same class.
Yes. And it works. It works that way. So, and saying that, Colleen says, we all need to re-up our AHRA yearly membership dues. So do that. Go and give.
Well, you can't yet because I took the website and everything down.
Well, get a backup. Why not?
Yeah. But when I get to the point where I could start doing AHRA stuff again, I'll let everyone know, and this will be probably the first place that anybody knows it. But right now, I can't do anything. My hands are tied behind my back, and I'm getting beat by lawyers over the head every freaking day.
Yeah. Mr. Wilburn stopped in. How you doing, Mr. Wilburn? And then Michael Schmidt's asking, what do you mean by cooking a battery to make it extend life? No, what you're doing is you're trying to get the sulfates that are actually on the plates, and that's what that's why battery gets laggy, doesn't hold the charge. And when you cook them, you basically just boil them off. By getting it hot and boiling it, they come right off and then they evaporate, and then that's that. And you basically make the battery brand new. All those batteries that you can buy at Walmart that are like $19.99 or $29.99, those are just batteries that they replaced in the back, and they cooked them at, say, 50 amps for, say, 30 minutes. They let them cool back down, then they put them on a trickle charge, and then topped them back off, and then capped them up, and then they're good to go. And that's literally how they do that.
And I had a DieHard battery back when Sears was like a thing. And the DieHard used to be the best race battery because it would last forever and you could rely on them.
And man, crap out of it, and it would still run. And
I had one. I bought a car. It was in the It was in the car when I got it. It was 5 years old when I took it out. I took it over to the DieHard service center at Sears, and they literally, the guy just walked right over to this dumpster, or not dumpster, 55-gallon drum, and poured the acid in it. Right. And well, then he filled it up with new electrolytes and cooked the battery for like a couple of hours, I'm sure. But I mean, he told me, he said, come back. It was Friday. He said, come back on Monday and it'll be ready to go. And Monday, that thing was top notch.
Yeah. Here's a little tip too. If you go down to Home Depot, they actually sell batteries now for your lawnmower, and they sell the acid in a little container. So they'll sell you some acid, and I keep some of that. And what I'll do is I'll use that to top off the batteries that you still can take the tops off of, and top them off after you boil it. And that thing is literally brand new again.
Yeah. And it costs 1/3 the price of a battery.
Exactly. It's like $30. So Fab Race Mod Repeat saying a C6 will fit in a Pinto with liberal tunnel clearancing. That means BFH on the side and make it go. Right? 280 amp Pinto with a 4-speed and a 430 gear is a bad dude. So a 302 would be even badder.
You would think so.
You
would think so.
You think so? I have yet to see a standard AGM battery survive a cook. Yes, it will not. I've actually seen it, and they just basically die. They overheat and melt. The deep cycles will do.
And then Mohawk is saying that Bonneville guys use the AGM battery because they can mount them on their side for a lower profile. The thing is, those batteries are not serviceable. Like, they don't have sulfuric acid in like you think. They have like a gel. I believe it's how those work, right? Isn't there a gel inside those batteries?
Yes, exactly.
And
Yeah,
there
like
is no vent or caps or anything on them.
yeah. They don't steam, they don't do anything. They literally just either work or they die. That's that. And you have to charge those specially. You can't just put them on a regular charger. It's not even a trickle charger. It's some other thing.
So let's see.
Hey, you're welcome, man. Yeah. So I was helping him with this camshaft, and I guess I gave him a list of parts, and that's awesome, man. I can't wait to see it. I hope it's going to be at No Name Nationals this year.
Mostly Old Parts Ron Ward says, what kind of power is being left on the table for a sub 500 lift cam using stock heavy valve springs and retainers versus lightweight stuff? Oh,
Under 4,500 RPM, nothing.
I would say there's very little of anything.
Yeah, only basically once you get you'll start seeing a little bit up to about 6,000, but really once you get over that 6,500 number, that's where that starts to really take effect. Over 7,000 RPM, that's when it really just goes off. You basically, if you watch Dallas's video on the EZ302, when did that thing start falling off? When did RPM just?
When the spring started falling off?
Yeah.
I think about 6,200.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right there. That's 6,500. That's where factory springs start to fail. You put better springs on it, and they'll go beyond that. But where lightweight stuff happens is over 7,000.
Well, the ridiculous thing was on that one is that when we ran it, I think what happened is it ended up hurting a spring, and then it just got worse and worse and worse. So it was like it started at 6,200, and then it became like 5,800, then 5,700, and then every pull we did, it just got worse.
Mm-hmm. Michael Schmidt's got a great question here. So, cam regrind. How does a cam company regrind a cam to narrow the lobe separation? You can only do it so much. So basically what they're going to do is they're going to profile the cam, and then they'll profile, say, the intake and the exhaust, and they'll tell you what the lobe separation angle is. If you want, there's only so much material there and so much heat treat. So you can either do a couple of these three things. You can do two of these three. One, lobe separation, change that. You can give it 10 or plus 10 degrees, less 10 degrees, or increase the lift by about 10 thousandths or so. Between those, you can usually pick two, and get what you want. But you can only change the lobe separation angle by a couple of degrees. So if it's a 110, only a 108. Now, if you want to go tighter than that, then you only get to get one of those two, because you're basically, by changing that, you're taking all that area off of both sides. And on one of them, it's going to be on the ramp up. And that's exactly what you don't want to do, because that's where the most force is at. So, and then taking lift, you're basically taking it from the base circle right on the bottom, because that's the only way you can extend it up. And all of these are going to make the base circle smaller. Usually on a cam regrind, you're only going to change it just very minimally. And I always tell people, usually have the cam dusted. That means just clearance it up and clean it up. And you can usually change 5 degrees and it'll still be just fine. But other than that, just get another camshaft at that point, because you're not really going to change it much.
Well, I'm going to be hurting for a few minutes. I got to let my mouse charge up. It died while we were doing this.
Oh, so, that's all right. It's all right.
All right. John Woburn is saying AHRA is running a killer event in September. Just saying.
Yeah, I got one here on the screen for you.
Okay. Tom Brown says, question. I have seen that small block Chevy heads seem to have a lot of turbulence in the short side and bowl over 300 feet per second in the runner. Is this common across all heads?
No.
I would have to say no.
No.
Right? Like, especially, well, I'm thinking also when you start looking at individual heads, okay, that 300 feet per second would be easily achievable on, let's say, a regular 2-barrel 283 head compared to a 202 double hump piece, right? Or a Vortec piece. The Vortec, I think, seems to overcome a lot of this. It has a smaller valve, which would increase the velocity through the actual port, right? Like through the valve. And I think that the Vortec probably fixed a lot of this, but I believe if you want to see where the cylinder head started making a difference, where they repaired this, was probably like, remember the turbo ports, the generation before the Vortec head. That's the ones everybody wanted to use, the Turbo Fire or Turbo Port or whatever they were.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I believe that's where they raised the runner on those heads. So
I agree with you. This is a good one. AHRA is running a killer event on September. Just saying. So there you go. That is the big event.
That's the one thing that hasn't been shelved. That is AHRA.
That's right. Exactly. This is kind of like if you're on the West Coast, this is the March meet. This is the Hot Rod reunion. This is our thing. The No Name Nationals is our one massive event that the AHRA will just never get rid of.
And the Val 360, Jimmy saying, is there a formula you can use to determine the correct head intake runner CC needed for a certain cube engine and horsepower goal? I don't think there is a formula out there, an exact formula. There might be, but the easiest way to do it is like
CC. I would just go with airflow.
That's the big one, is like how many CFM. Okay, so bigger isn't always better. All right. The big one, that the rule of thumb that I use, that's a formula. If somebody says they got a 300 cc or a 300 CFM airflow intake runner, that means that head is generally capable of making about 600 horsepower if you just double that number, right? And you can actually say 630 horsepower or so, because it is about 10% that you can gain out of there if you're a good engine builder.
Yes.
Right. Now, CC numbers for the runner itself doesn't really mean much, because you could have a 200 cc cylinder head and have just total dog shit airflow. And if you want to know where an easy way to see that is go look at a Speedmaster head compared to an AFR 185.
And it's also due to the quality of air. Velocity of the air is really just as important as max flow. And like I've said earlier, just about 10 minutes ago, don't look at max flow numbers. Look at the 300 and 400 and 500 numbers.
That'll show you, the potential all the way across the board.
And that's what's going to produce the mid-range power, because, you could have one little section where, it'll make peak torque. So if you're only looking at peak power, this thing made peak power. But then if you take it and you overlap them, you're going to have one that's going to have an average power that's going to kick the other one's butt, because it's making so much power. As long as that guy shifts just right there, just beyond the peak, he's just going to be freight training right past you. Now, I have seen there are formulas out there for CCs and all this other stuff to make it. Is you can go way down a rabbit hole on this. If you're going into this, just look at, like I said, if you wanted to make a 500 horsepower engine, look for a head flow that's going to be like in the, I would say 300 CFM or 275. That way it's a little more, and that way you can kind of grow into it. That's just what I would do. And I would literally get the one that had the best numbers at 300 and 400. If all parts are being equal, and then usually the quality of that air, there's a lot of companies out there that post these head flow numbers, not by the manufacturer, but by another company that actually tested their stuff, and then look at those, and they'll tell you port velocity.
That's what was good about magazines from like the 90s and early 2000s, was they had head flow numbers that, like, they weren't from the manufacturer, they were tested themselves, right? Mm-hmm. And so you knew what heads were. That's where when AFR came out with the small block Ford 185 head, that's where the magic happened. Was they printed numbers from Muscle Mustang and Fast Forward or 5.0 Mustang, I can't remember. They printed the numbers that they tested across the board, and the 300 and 400 numbers were almost equivalent to the 500 numbers. I mean, you're talking like 20, 30 CFM difference. And that's where that head, if you bolted that 185 head on a stock 5-liter Ford, it was making over 400 horse with a stock camshaft. And it was like, man, but the numbers supported it. They were like 180. It was 180 CFM intake airflow at like 300, and then it got up to like 210 or 220 at 600 lift, right? But the numbers were there to make it happen, and that's what we don't have. When the transition from magazine to YouTube hasn't caught up because there isn't an entity out there that's big enough that can finance all the head flow numbers, right? Like I was
that you can trust because
right.
there's always some Yahoo out there posting these numbers, and you're like, well, where did you get this from, and how did this come about? How can I trust this?
And I think that there's only a couple of people that do stuff like that. David Vizard does that. Andy Wood does that. Yeah. Eric Weingartner does that.
He's pretty good. I like him. He's a little talky, but I like him.
I'm not a big fan of Eric Weingartner because he is, I don't know, a dick. Is the easiest way to put it. I mean, he blasted me one time on a video I made, like, "Hey, you shouldn't be porting stuff," and I'm like, "Well, that's a good thing because I didn't port anything. I don't know where you're getting that from."
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I don't know. I don't personally know the guy, so I just say he's just a little talky for me. Other than that, it's fine. But SSR Performance has got something awesome here.
AHRA Nationals plus 3 to 4 Triple Crown events throughout the year would be perfect.
We've talked about this.
We have talked about this. There is a downside to that. Okay. And the downside is, imagine you're somebody that jumps into Triple Crown, but doesn't do YouTube. Okay. So that means they could run to 3 to 4 Triple Crown events, but then can't participate in the No Name Nationals. And that's the caveat, like the downside of it. Now, that doesn't mean we would let them in not having a YouTube channel. That means they can't race. But I think what we need to do is really look at that from a big picture and say, why don't we cross that bridge when we get there?
Exactly.
I
think what we should do is we're going to see the real competition and the participation level on 2026. That way for 2027, we can really decide, do we want to make another couple events somewhere, do one at the beginning, one at the mid, and then one at the end. So that way people who built these cars can actually race them and be competitive. But like I said, we'll cross that bridge.
Right. And I think right now, 2026, I will be divorced. There's no doubt about it. It's got to the final point where right now, within the next few days, everything will be finished.
Someone could have got the college education by the time you're done with this.
I know, dude. And well, trust me, I understand that and I feel it.
Yeah.
But 2027 will probably be the year, if there is a year, where I could say, hey, we will likely have multiple events at multiple tracks, and this is where they're going to be and how we're going to do it. Right. But I don't want to. We do need to address that to begin with, is that, hey, if we run 3 or 4 Triple Crown events, we're going to have to tell everybody that participates, hey, if you want to be at the end of the year final one, you better start a YouTube channel now. Right. And so, but like I said, and Shane agrees, we will cross that bridge when we get there.
I got to jump ahead because we're so far behind. So if you look, I'm actually trying to get up because we're.
Well, okay. So I'll just run down through some real quick and you can jump ahead if you want. But KS Skyhawk says you're calling it super stock. I only said super stock because it was going to run Southeast Gas or super stock class. I did not want to race in any AHRA stuff. Now that I'm not doing AHRA stuff all over, I'll run it in Triple Crown where it actually probably is financially feasible. And the super stock class at SIGA has jumped the shark. Ron Ward wants to know if I'll accept dues paid in cash at No Name Nationals. Yes, but probably No Name Nationals 27. I don't know. 26. I haven't heard anything.
26, you will, because that means 27 we make things happen for the Triple Crown. You're going to have to start.
Oh yeah, I should probably have everything done by then. So yeah. I may take memberships and sell merch then. 26.
I'm going to skip ahead here, and then you can kind of catch up, and we'll get in between these here. Levi's Backyard Garage is asking, speaking of cams, what comes first, cam or torque converter? I always spec the cam, then the torque converter. I do too, because I always build the engine first and then make the car work with it. But sometimes you have to go the other way, because if you've already got a car that's a combination and you've got a converter that you've already spent a bunch of money on it, sometimes you got to spec that cam to kind of work with your setup. But if I had the choice and there's nothing bought, I will always do the cam first and then make the torque converter fit.
No, you're right. And like, what did you call that? When we told, We did that with Steve Sherman. Well, you did that with Steve Sherman's Nova.
Yeah.
Remember, he had a combination and it was running good. I mean, it was running like 580s on a 9-inch tire.
Yeah.
Right. And then he came to you and was like, hey, man, I need a little more steam out of this. And what you did was you built the cam to the combination.
That's correct.
They already had. And it ended up, I don't remember. I think the first time it blew the hood off.
Yeah,
and, and then the second time he over revved it and kicked all the rods out.
Yeah, well, he blew the rod off, the hood off it, but he did make a PB with that.
Oh yeah, it was like a 550 with the hood.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he did a 550 with the hood coming off. And then I told him, I was like, you can shift it sooner, because I was listening to it, and he goes, oh no, this is when his dad was still around, and he goes, oh, my dad's here, and he goes, and so then he went out there and ran it, and you're right, he kicked all the rods right out of it. But what his dad said though is he didn't break the rods. What he did is he probably ran it and sucked the oil dry, and then that's what probably killed. Is what his dad
spun a rod bearing and melted
melted
the rod. But let's see, Dylan Levi saying Dallas, I need to bring up that manifold. Dude, I was actually going to ask you about that tonight, and I'm thinking, I asked about it last week. You guys said bring it up next week. How about Friday? Does Friday sound good? I will bring it up there Friday.
Perfect.
And I would love that. I was going to ask about it anyway.
Bear Rose is asking, Professor, you sent you an email on a combo I bought last week. Not the exact cam I was looking for, but it was in stock with DLC lifters. You can tell me if it's going to be a dog or not. Where did you send the email to? Did you send it to S. Polito Edelbrock, or did you do it Slant Daily Garage Yahoo? Just let me know as we get down here. Barrows says that Ron's asking for those of us out of the loop, what are DLC lifters? Diamond Light coating, and it's a harder. It's basically a surface finish, but it's an impregnated surface finish, and what that does is it's impervious to wear essentially. And what that means is that you can take a camshaft, and it's funny. Me and Dallas were actually just talking about this before we went live. You can run a DLC flat tappet lifters not only on a cast iron cam, but you can also do it on a billet core. So that means that eventually, at some point, you're not going to be able to buy cast iron cores anymore. So you got to have a way to run a billet core, a round lobe, so that way you can cut it and make whatever you want out of it, but still run flat tappet lifters. With the DLC lifters, you can do this. So basically takes that away. So you could run, if you've got an old cam in the back, say a copper coated, roller cam that's a little too small, you could send it over to comp. They can cut it, send out for heat treat, come back, and then put DLC lifters on it. Now you'll basically be early 2000s NASCAR technology,
See, here's the benefit that, big picture. Camshafts, people run them. Let's say you have a cam that you bought from Crane Cams in 1989 and you like the profile, you can run a DLC lifter on that.
Yeah,
right?
Fine.
Or you can take that same profile and have it added to that billet, right? Worst case scenario, you don't like it, you want to upgrade, make things a little bit better. They can weld a billet cam.
Mm-hmm.
You can weld on a billet cam.
Yeah.
The other thing that's really awesome about a billet cam is when I was running 5-liter Fords and I was running in, they had a class for Fun Ford Weekend that was factory stock. Okay. So you had to rent a factory stock piece. So somebody had figured out you run a GT40P with Beehive valve springs and 1.7 rockers and an E Motorsports cam, and you build a bottom end that's just like almost a basic 89 Mustang bottom end. There was a 1/10.5 difference if you took the E Motorsports cast iron cam out and had a custom cam made at comp with the same exact profile and put it in there. It was a 1/10.5, right? Because when you're talking hydraulic roller, you got all that weight, and that weight makes that cam flex. That cast iron cam is actually flexing in the block, right? You can only run so much spring pressure on them. And so the big thing was when you went to that billet, it didn't flex anymore.
That's right. It doesn't twist.
And you would gain probably 30, 40 horse just doing the cast iron to the billet.
And it stabilizes the valve train too, because because it's less dense, you're sending less harmonics through the valve train. It's because it's hard on the side, but yet soft in the center, it absorbs some of that vibration. And so that way,
probably the high frequency stuff.
Exactly. It takes away all the high frequency. And that's the worst stuff of all is the high frequency, because you're going to get so many nodes going back up through there that your valve train's going to go uncontrollable at some point.
That's what that's what fascinates me about valve train. Not only is the push rod itself act as like an antenna,
pole vault,
right? Yeah, well, it'll act as an antenna, because when it hits a certain frequency based on the length of the push rod, it'll actually start resonating that push rod. But the other thing that no one thinks about is the coil spring up top is a wound length, whatever, right? Yeah. And it will resonate at its resonant frequency as well, right? But because it is wound, it does take it takes more energy to make it oscillate, but it's still, once it hits that resonant frequency, hang on.
And that's actually where you'll see in a push rod in the center, you'll see them turn blue in the center from the frequencies. When they start to match, that's where they blew. And that's why you'll see tapered push rods. People think, oh, they're tapered push rods for strength. Well, yes, but really what it's for is because you're changing the diameter. So therefore you're changing where the frequency's at.
Changes.
You move the frequency instead of to one hotspot. Now you've moved them to two different areas. So that's the whole point of that. Oh, looks like we got a couple of super chats here. So I'm going to...
we need to hit those.
I'm going to go down here real quick and just catch those up. So we'll come back. So...
Rose, I learned more looking at taillights than I did seeing headlights. It's okay to be behind the curve as a CU student. Dude, I'm telling you, we were all that CU student for I was for years.
I was that guy.
I don't mind losing. I find that, winning gives you a good feeling, but losing makes you determined, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where it makes you hungry.
Yeah, I didn't have the money. All those guys had money for big blocks. I didn't have that. I mean, I had a 400 at one point, but when I blew that up, it was basically small blocks, and I had to compensate for how did I do that? With nitrous. And I blew up a lot of shit with nitrous. I literally did. And I had to figure it out. And it was literally here. I'm going to tell you about whenever I see, actually not now, but back in the day, for the first 3 years when I would see Dylan Levi, it reminded me a lot of me. Hard-headed, didn't want to listen, blow up his shit, and then want to fix it and go back racing again. I did that every weekend. It seemed like, or at least once or twice a month. I did the same thing. And that's why I like that guy, because he's determined. It reminds me a lot of me. So I just like that. So here's the next one. $20. Go for it, man.
All right. KS Skyhawk says Vega Hood sold thanks to Shane Dallas and Wednesday Night TikTok Live. What I've learned here will get me more bang for those bucks. KS Skyhawk, his name is actually Roger. Roger messaged me, and sometimes we talk on the phone. And this guy, if you didn't know, Roger is probably one of the older people in the chat, right? And he tells me how he loves coming to Wednesday Night Tech Talk Live because it inspires him, and to get out there in the garage and do things on a low budget to, try to make things happen. And he, like myself, he loves that small block Buick that's completely disregarded as a pile of crap. So I love them. It's a challenge to make something that was never intended to be fast. Exactly. That's I get a lot more feeling out of that. But if it wasn't for people like Roger, I probably would have quit doing this years ago. So thanks a lot, Roger. This super chat means a lot.
Yeah, thank you. And I got to tell you, everything that you guys donate just goes right into the No Name Nationals Fund. And this is for all, this goes right into prizes for you guys.
Dude, you know what I think we should do?
Well, before I say this, hold on. Last year, if you asked the top two guys what they got for winning, they got some really, really, really bitchin' prizes. They got like lifters, like Evolution hydraulic roller lifters. That is good stuff. So that's the kind of stuff that you get for the Triple Crown winner. And this is all donations give it is back to you guys. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry, man.
I'm thinking what we do is tally up the cash, and it can't be a 1-for-1 because YouTube takes 30%.
I keep track of it.
Okay. What I think would be cool is we took that fund and we slammed together some kind of freaking award, right? And then it's a payout all by itself,
Mhm.
right? And it's like the most creative or the hard luck. Remember that hard luck, dude?
Yeah.
The guy, the first time Shane and I gave out a hard luck award, this dude came out their first time out with the car, and it was like his 35th birthday,
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
and he blew that sucker up sky high. And I mean like rods, pan, block, he probably smashed every valve in the head.
Total
This dude-
annihilation. Total annihilation.
Let it all go. First time out. And we're like, man, that's some serious hard luck. So we gave him this award made out of like junk pile stuff welded together. Now it didn't look good, right? But that dude was like, man, he was smiling from ear to ear. You know, it just took some of the sting out of that.
We got one more here that popped up here. LS Turbo G Body. Come on, give me and Yeti a follow. So go and check him out. LS Turbo G Body guy. He actually had a question up here that I was trying to get to. He was talking about. It was I'm trying to get back up to it here. I'm actually as we're talking.
So he says at 736, what all classes? Is that one?
Yeah, he was talking about he had a turbo car. He was telling about his combination, and I think he was talking about trying to get into Triple Crown. But I was going to just have you go over some of the rules about what it really is.
That's at 736. He says, so what all classes and where would I fit in? LS Turbo, all steel glass, insured, heat, AC, full interior. Okay, there is not a lot of classes at the No Name Nationals, to be honest with you. The reason for that is everybody's build is on a completely different spectrum than the other person's, right? And more or less, this is we do it in a bracket race type setup, and everybody can kind of race and bracket race, but we also got the burnout contest, right? Triple Crown is something that we just came up with last year, okay? And what it did was it limited 28-10-5 because we were starting to get people in there that were real hitters for 28-10-5, not like when
They're
we
not
started
in the community
for YouTube content creators, and it was more or less just YouTube content creators throwing something together and running 28-10-5 or making it work, right? And then what happened is we get these purpose-built cars that these guys were hitters and YouTubers second, and it just started making it to where it was impossible to financially control it.
Yep.
Right.
And the safety too, like went through the roof. Yeah.
We'll just make a class where it's simple and fairly inexpensive where anyone can jump in. And you can build a car to fit in that class. You will not fit Triple Crown just because you have a turbo. I'm telling you that now. If you have a carburetor on your LS, it would run without the turbo, it would be fine. But this is a naturally aspirated class to keep the cost down is all.
Yeah, and it's a pound per cubic inch deal, and there's some rules too. If you where do we put the rules up at? What's John's?
The rules are on the No Name Nationals webpage where you actually register for No Name Nationals.
Yeah, it's down there. Check it out. And you take the turbo off, you probably could run because a lot of these cars are really competitive. They're really close, and it's fun. But you can also show up with that car, and there's plenty of cars there that you can call out. You can do some match racing. You can do 2 out of 3.
That's the big one. Is all the little side pieces. Is like the best thing you could do is show up with your car, find somebody that's got something relatively similar, and then do a best 2 out of 3 match race, right? Yeah. And that will be a pretty big thing, and it's a lot of fun. I would recommend you do the 2 out of 3, get a couple of call outs, and if you want, you can join the bracket. It's not a big deal. Then check out the Triple Crown cars and decide if that's what your flavor ice cream you like. And then, you can do it next year, but I don't think you have enough time to cram something together to get it there now.
He does.
Well, I guess
he does. I think what you do is go back and look at No Name Nationals 2025 Triple Crown class. Look at some of those cars, kind of what they're running, and then that will kind of get you. Now, I'm telling you right now, this is year number 2. Year number 2 cars are going to get faster. Year number 3, the cars are going to be really fast. So I'm just giving you a heads up. They're going to figure it out by that combination. So you're going to want to get in this year if you want to get into it. Go watch that. You'll see kind of what it is. Look at the rules. Some of the big rules are, though, is that you can't change the factory pickup points. So if you can't have your car, tubbed, you can't have, a 4-link in it. You can't have
Body
big
panels
tires.
missing. All that. It's pretty strict. You think around like 1970 modified production or stock eliminator.
Yeah. Michael Schmidt says $13 so you can get 10. Haha, thanks guys. Always a good time. Well, thank you very much. Once again, goes right into the fund. So yeah, I got to tell you, I got a really, really good present this year for Triple Crown winner. I'm telling you, it's going to be awesome.
Well, I'll tell you something interesting here. Okay, I'm seeing something here. You know what? I need to bring out some parts I got that hand out as prizes. But Paul Pahui says, I have a new never installed Lenati Voodoo camshaft and lifters that were ground about 20 years ago. Would I be better off buying a set of comp DLC lifters to use with the Lenati cam? If they're from 20 years ago, you're probably going to be fine with those lifters and cam.
Yeah. The only thing I would say about the if you got the DLC coated lifters, you don't have to break it in. That's it.
I mean, you start it up just like it's a hydraulic roller.
Yeah. I mean, I literally, if you guys don't believe me, the green car, I put those lifters in it and I started the car up. I took it for a drive. I shut it off and then drove it to Dallas, came back. And then I did 6 Smokies in the car. It sat since then because it got cold, but that's literally what I've done with the car and it runs beautiful. I got DLC coated lifters in it.
Okay. So Yeti Monty says, I've just started a channel. Got to get followers. Right. We get it. You're this, believe it or not, this is your first year doing this. This is our 4th. You got plenty of time. You're going to get it. Okay. Don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. And you don't need to panhandle yet. All you need to do is continue making your content and putting it out there. And you will have your 500 subscribers almost guaranteed by September. I would say probably by the end of May.
But first, what you got to go do is this way you can actually make yourself do it. Go and register. First thing you got to do is go and register for the No Name Nationals. Go over the No Name Nationals and pay for it. Second is that because of a perk for that is that you'll get a get a discount for parts. So if you're building a car, Edelbrock company I work for, you get basically your own person. You can email them, and then you're getting this stuff cheaper than you could even buy it. Even if you're WD with say Summit Racing, it's basically the same cost that Summit gets. And then the more that we buy, the lower price it gets. And it's basically factory direct to you. So it's just one of the little perks. Edelbrock doesn't sponsor No Name Nationals. It's just a perk that we're doing for you guys.
Yeah. And that's a big time kickback and savings. So if you're spending money and building stuff on YouTube, you can really cut some cost out of that.
I'm not going to tell you the guy's name, but he actually showed up at our place. He bought some heads, he bought an intake, and he bought a camshaft, and he bought some other stuff, right? And I was down there helping him out. He saved enough money to buy a carburetor on top of it. Think about that. So he was able to save enough money, and then he was able to buy a VRS carburetor with the savings that he had already saved. That's significant. That's not like chump change. It's not like $50 here. That's like hundreds of dollars he saved. Where are you at now? Because I'm kind of lost here.
I'm trying to catch up right now. We had this.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, when you register, I add you to my man page, the man page, or the person page, or the people page, and you'll get registered for the No Name Nationals, and then also too you get Alex. So you'll get his information, and your name goes on there, and that's how you get your discount. See if I missed anything. I'm going to go back up here. Here's Bear Rose is asking. He's actually just commenting here. So yeah, if you don't check all the boxes for triple, there's a lot of things that you can do in the No Name Nationals. I'm telling you right now, there's going to be a guy there that will probably race you just with no problem. There's going to be Levi's going to be there. He's got a turbo
He was
LS.
already talking to him in the chat about did he want to race.
Oh, is that really? Did he say
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
I will say I already know Dylan Levi is going to say it. And if things don't change for me, as of right now, I'm probably not going to have my Cookie Monster there. But if I do, I'll race you.
Let's see.
Mean Street's asking, how much do the DLC lifters for a Mopar small block cost? I really don't know off the top of my head, but it's really not much more money than regular lifters. So that was the whole point, is we wanted to bring that price point way down and make it affordable. I don't know, and I don't want to give you a price, but I believe they're under $200. I believe. I'm thinking that's what it is.
Let's put it this way: if you're registered for No Name Nationals, it'll be under $200.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
Yeah. Let's see.
DLCs for Mopar 360 have been on stock for a while. Any other days when they'll be available again? You know what? If you email me at spolito@edelbrock.com, or even Alex so it's ASO@edelbrock.com, ASO@edelbrock.com. He will tell you, because we've had a lot of they're so popular, it's hard to keep them in stock. So yes, unfortunately, but they do work awesome.
So Buick Smith says, question, what is the most common manual shifter thread or shifter knob thread pattern? Dude, I think it's 7/16/14.
Yeah. My Volkswagen and my Dodge was a half by half 20. Mine was half 20.
Half 20?
Yeah.
Huh. And Johnson, it's the 5th year. So it's the 5th year. They go by so fast.
This is the 5th year, isn't it?
Yeah, but you know what's funny is, like, I was thinking about this when I was saying it, where I was saying, I know it's your first year and you're eager and all that, and you'll make it. It'll be fine. Don't sweat it. Dude, I remember the first year, it was everybody's first year, right? So nobody had any idea how it was going to shake out.
Yeah.
And I remember, I'll tell you a story about the No Name Nationals registration. We got all the way to like August, maybe July or August. John Wilburn came over to my house. We were doing a live. We were doing this, I think, Wednesday Night Tech Talk live from my house. And James and James showed us up, right? In the chat. Hey, we just registered for No Name Nationals. That's now SSR Performance in the chat if you want to know. But I went out on a limb and I said, I don't think you guys have enough time to make it to get your 500 subs, right? And I think it was 2 weeks before No Name Nationals. And them dudes blew it away, man. I'm telling you, you can do it easy. Just start making content. Be consistent with it. Make the videos 12 to 15 minutes long. Don't ramble. And if you really want to think about it, like, have a significant other watch it. And if they say you're talking too much, listen to them. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Listen to them. They might not know what you're saying, but they know what a video looks like because they've been doing with them, watching them their whole life.
And I'm telling you, if you can't make the videos, do what John says. Make 30 shorts in 30 days. I'm telling you, that gets people interested and keeps them connected, and they'll always come back, and it keeps your viewer count up, and that will keep you. But you got to be consistent with that. And there's been massive channels that have come from this No Name Nationals. Just Mopar Joe,
Pole Barn Garage.
Pole Barn Garage. What's that other guy? The guy who goes out and does a Junkyard Willie. Didn't he start and do this?
Yep. Junkyard. Junkyard Willie.
Junkyard Willie.
Yeah.
And then
let's see, Buck's Garage.
Two Hacks Garage, right?
Two Hacks Garage came from No Name Nationals. You all make it. Everybody was a No Name 500 participant.
What about Nivlac? Didn't they Nivlac 57?
Nivlac 57 started there.
Yeah. So if you guys know any of those names, that they're literally came from this whole No Name Nationals thing. So yeah.
Let's see. And okay, so Buick Smith is asking, Shane, are the DLC lifters done for the Buicks?
Yeah, it's basically it's a BOP style, but yeah, they have it for Buick. Oldsmobile and a Pontiac.
And they all have the oil band. I'll tell you something interesting, because Shane and I have been talking about this for the past couple of hours now.
Yes.
Right. All right. So when the Evolution roller cam lifters came out for Pontiac, they had a test set. And when they were done, they were told to destroy the lifters, right? Throw them in the scrap pile and destroy them.
I found the best scrap pile.
So Shane calls me and he says, hey, they're taking this Pontiac Evolution roller lifters to scrap. Do you think they'll fit a Buick? And I said, I don't know, but I'll never know if you scrap them, right? So he's like, I'll grab them. So he grabs them, and then my job was to test them in a Buick. And today I test them in a big block Buick, and they slide right in.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, you can buy a set of Pontiac hydraulic lifters and fit in a big block Buick. They will not fit in the small block Buick. Now, I'm thinking, since the bore on the Oldsmobile is generally bigger than the Pontiac, I'm thinking that those Pontiac lifters will fit in the Oldsmobile as well.
Wow.
I think so. But I don't have an Oldsmobile block to test them on.
I'm going to go back up because there was a few. We skipped over some questions when we got to the super chat, so I apologize for that, guys. Blue Grit's asking here, Danny Boyd, I don't know if the previous owner messed with the balance to make it 50-ounce work. Anything else in this car is messed up, and I just okay. I thought it was a question about that.
No, usually okay. I've seen that so many times on a small block Ford, because the stupid 302 is 50 ounce, and then the Windsor's like 28 ounce.
Yeah.
And I have seen so many times at the junkyard, you pull the 50-ounce balancer off of a freaking 351 Windsor, and it's like, oh my God. And you can look at it and see the difference.
Yeah, it's massive. It's a huge
weight. And so this happens actually more than you think. And then I was a member of the 8-2 deck mafia, 9-2 deck mafia, and then the 9-5 deck mafia, which is the Windsor small block Ford's different deck heights. People would always have dumb questions like, oh, my bearings got wiped. Make sure the balancer is not 50 ounce, right? And that was like the first thing everybody said. To fix this, and I doubt this has been balanced, what it is somebody just used shit they had and put it together, and they thought it was all the same. But it's not. The smart thing to do in this case, do not buy professional products or Speedmaster balancer. Do not buy a good reputable balancer, right? You got ATI makes them. TCI makes a Rattler, don't they? They still make
TCI still make a Rattler. Yep.
Okay. Let's see. ATI. Del West makes one, but you buy a good Fluid Amper. Fluid Amper makes one, right?
Yeah, okay, but the fluid dampener, I don't recommend those for racing because that viscous fluid needs to be warm before it actually works.
Right.
Just a heads up.
Well, fair enough. But buy a good balancer. If you can't get a Ford one, find a good aftermarket one. But then take it all in and get it balanced up. And any reputable machine shop should be able to balance that. You can actually do it at home just by doing bob weights, just by measuring everything. And then, well, you can't do the balancing because you can't take the weight out of it. But you can measure everything and find out how far out of balance it is.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I would do right there.
Yeah. And and also too, on the flex plate too, make sure that matches as well. I've seen that too many times.
Yeah, the flex plate and the damper are the two big things.
And let's see here. I'm going through this. Welcome to the best YouTube. Oh yeah, right here.
Well, there you go. This is why Danny Boyd says 302s up to 79 or 80 were 28 ounce, just like the Windsor.
Oh, okay. Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that explains everything I need to know about, because Ford used to be the worst at interchangeability of anything. And
right.
That makes sense.
I was a parts jockey for a while. And we used to have a saying, we'd get a Ford mystery part every day. There'd be a Ford mystery part. It had a Ford part number right on it, 1FZ, whatever, right? The worst were ported vacuum switches. Man, I'm telling you, they would come and it was like, okay, well, this is this year and it's blue. Why is this one a 3-port? This is supposed to be 2-port. You look up the part number, you have
Oh,
the Ford book out, you'd read the 1FZ, yada, yada, and then it skips right over the last 4 digits, and it's like, it doesn't exist. You put it into the Ford parts interchange, it shows a number, it shows an interchange, but it doesn't, no one makes it. And then the mystery part doesn't exist in the Ford book. It was
I
just,
forgot in California, they required all that stupid stuff. And
Yes.
you working in a shop, they would have had to have done smog. So
Yeah.
you had to deal with all that stupid crap.
it was ridiculous, dude. Because there was every year would have some cars would have 3 or 4 different ones on a ported vacuum switch, right?
Uh-huh.
And they would have different colors with different amounts of ports with different temperatures. That's what they meant. And they would just go to all these carburetors, and I'm telling you, man, it was just a woo, man.
Dude, I'll tell you, my first experience with that was I was stationed out there in San Diego, and they wouldn't give you a base sticker unless it passed emissions, right? So I took this 87 Oldsmobile Cutlass out there. My dad brought it out for me, and I took it to the base sniffer, right? And I went there like 6 times in a day. And the dude's like, look, you're only allowed to come like 2 times in a day or something, right? And I'm like, okay, well, tell me what I need to do. He's like, you need to fix all this. And then it was like a list of crap like these. The ones that sucked was the temperature operated switches,
Yes.
right?
That-
They're hard to find. And if you find them in the junkyard, generally they're junk because they break the nipples off as soon as you try to take the hoses off.
Plastic is hard. Yeah, it's done.
So my dad and I worked on this thing over and over and over, trying to get it to smog. And finally, it was getting to the point where I had to buy an HEI module for this distributor. It was a 7-pin HEI module, the big ones, right?
Yeah.
And they were like $300 back then. I don't know what they are today. They're stupid money. I went down to the junkyard near San Ysidro, and I pulled a Quadrajet carburetor off of like a 75 Oldsmobile with a 350. And then I pulled a HEI distributor out of an Oldsmobile, and I took it back and dropped it in there, and we took it in, and it freaking blew the smog away, right? And the guy's like, all right, now, he said, let's check and make sure all the equipment's still there. And he opens the hood, and it's like, just the look on his face, like, dude, you guys just made this 10 times worse. And I'm like, well, how? I mean, it blows good on smog. And he's like, no, you have to have the original 1987 carburetor. You
Yeah.
have to have the original 1987 distributor with the 7-pin module that you think is bad.
That's right.
Right. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I want to go to the ref. This is ridiculous. And he's like, you're going to lose. They're not even going to take a look at this car and even consider talking to you about it.
So last week, someone made a question. I actually have an answer for you. They wanted to know what the Godzilla bolt pattern was, and that is a modular engine bolt pattern. So all the mods, the Coyotes, the 4.6, the 5.2 or 5.3, where the fuck it is,
5.4.
5.4, yeah, whatever they are. I don't know all those numerical things, but they all have that same pattern. So the Coyote and the Predator, the Voodoo, whatever they call them now, and then the Godzilla, they all have that same pattern. It's a modular pattern. But yes, I do agree with you. How many bell patterns does Ford have? Easy, all of them. That is exactly right.
Yeah, every single one of them.
This is for you, bud.
Yeah, well, Buick Smith's asking Dallas Tech question. I have an SFI flywheel for a Buick. The Buick manual uses the aluminum bell housing. Do I need a trans blanket if I run slicks? Ooh, dude, if you're running a manual, I believe on a manual, if you run, well, first thing, slicks, you got to have a drive shaft safety loop.
Yep.
Okay. If you run slicks. As a stick, I do believe if it's a SFI flywheel, you have to have a SFI bell housing.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, you can't even put a bell. You can't even put a blow shield in. You got to have the bell housing.
Yeah,
absolutely. And they're expensive and they're heavy. They
suck.
Suck.
It might be better to take the SFI bell housing or the flywheel off the car and put just, or just don't even mention it.
Don't say a word. Just go. The car runs, 8s. It's good, right?
Yeah. If it's slow enough, it won't require any of that stuff.
Just don't say nothing.
Yeah, I wouldn't say anything. But I believe you probably have the same flywheel that I do because it's the only one sold. And that's the one from TA Performance, which is SFI certified. and because no one makes an aftermarket one anymore, not even a replacement.
Hey, Bear Rose, I see you're still here. Above, you said you sent me an email. Which word did you send me the email to? Which email? Just tell it later on down here, so that way I can go and find it. Oh, here's another one too. Talk about this one. If you want the 351 to live, don't put a 302 firing order on it. It will pound out the front mains, then change to Windsor for a reason. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, Fabrice Mod Repeat and I have talked about this because I don't know if you remember this, but I built a 351 Windsor that was a 393 that had a 302 cam in it, and it had the 302 firing order. It was pretty stout. I liked it.
Yeah,
but it was the 302 high torque motor that they made in. It's a roller cam. But it would have done the same thing with that firing order, would have pounded the mains out of it. But I really don't think that the firing order is going to destroy the mains. I don't think so. Not on a 4,500 RPM and below application.
No, the only time I've ever seen anything is when you have the Windsor firing order, or what people nowadays call the LS, 4723 swap. It's just nicer on the bearings at higher RPM and higher power loads. So those are the two numbers. Where does it matter? It doesn't matter. Anything below 6,000, you'll never notice the difference. Really, you won't. It's only for the upper RPMs.
And I think with good oil pressure and those big 3-inch mains on the Windsor,
you'll be fine.
That firing order is not going to matter.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Oh, here's the one right here. Switch pitch. It is then.
He's going switch pitch.
That's right.
You know what I'm voting for?
1 hour, 17 minutes, and 21 seconds in, we got our switch pitch right there.
I had one of my Buick buddies call me today, and he was asking me about torque converters. And I said, you got that big giant pile of turbo 400s back there. Why don't you find a switch pitch and I'll give you a converter? Oh, I don't know if I want to do that. And I'm like, man, these guys have not seen the light yet.
Yeah, right.
They will.
Levi's saying, tech question studs for bell housings. I think it would be a trans removal and install much easier. Here, when I had my my small block Mopar, they have Mopars have two bolts that go forward. So you actually put them from the engine this way, and then they have 4 that go from the transmission to the engine. I put studs on those so that way it was easier to line up. This will work as long as you have enough room to drop the transmission down and pull it out. If you're using solid mounts or an engine plate, it almost makes it nearly impossible to come off.
That's what I was just going to say, because I just ran into this.
Yeah.
I was putting studs in my Buick, and then I ran into where I was putting mid plate in it, and I'm like, you can't get the mid plate out with the stud in.
That's right.
It's impossible. So you could not remove the engine with the stud in place.
Now, so how I got around this is I dropped the engine down because I liked having those 2 studs on there because I could slide it on. I'm basically one-man auto. This way I could line it up myself and it went right in. If you can actually dip that down and get it out, absolutely, it makes it super simple. If you can't, then don't do it. Just don't do it because it's a pain in the butt. Oh yeah, so you got the mid plate on there and everything, and it's like
I got the mid plate made, and it fits up there perfectly, and it's painted the whole 9 yards. I was working on the header, and then I went to the mid plate, finished the mid plate because I realized I could never get the engine to sit there exactly where I wanted it without the mid plate in it. So I stopped on the header, did the mid plate, finished it, put it in there. Went back to work on the header, and then everything kind of came to a screeching halt. Yesterday, I ended up having to pick up 2 engines that were supposed to be sitting somewhere else until like April when the weather got nice. So now I'm having to juggle all this stuff, and I got everything set up for Clint Street Machines. We've had something in the works now for like 9 months or a year. No, it's easily been a year. I think it's been longer than that, actually. But we're doing a 300 Buick that's like a modern version 300 Buick. So should be pretty interesting.
Aren't Bell Housing SFI stickers only good for 4 years? Yeah, but you can send them back in and have them recertified.
Here's
It's
the downside: if you scored it or filed on it or ground on it, it's
chipped
not
it.
certified. Yeah.
Yeah, it's done. It's done after that. But most, I got to tell you right now, there's very few places, especially now. When I was on the West Coast, every place I went and drag raced, I literally had to make sure that my SFI, my belts, my helmet, everything was right to date. There's only been one race since I've been here, one place, and that's the No Name Nationals that's actually inspected anything. Other than that, you basically just show up and you race, and it is what it is. You could literally have PVC pipe in there and just painted black. I don't think anyone would even notice because I've never been teched anywhere else. But I make sure my stuff's good always.
Dude, I remember when I went out to California, the first time I ran with the Super Gas guys at the NHRA divisional, the tech inspector literally was crawling all over my car. He had never seen it before, so he went through every single SFI piece that was on the car. And I was like, geez. And he didn't have a problem.
Clint saying that reminds me, he got the rest of his parts in. So there you go, Dallas.
Oh, sweet. Well, now,
Yeah.
Okay, dude, you're gonna have to send them on over because I'm planning on getting this crank in hopefully this week.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I need to get the crank rods and pistons in it, dude. This thing is going to be so neat. I don't know how I should do a video. I guess I should probably do it on Mr. Rodder's neighborhood, but we figured out how to put 3.8 liter V6 Ford pistons on a 350 Buick rod and have it bushed. And then it's got the cap screw rods, the kick-ass 74 and later rods. And it's got the thin metric rings on the pistons.
Yeah.
So, and it's got 10.8 to 1 compression.
So Michael Schmidt's asking a question here, and there's some typos in it because I was reading down here, but basically saying that 3D intake manifold or higher welder. If one wanted to create a side draft carb manifold for an inline, how would one go about it? I assume there are high tech ways. I have a 1953-54 vet 6-cylinder carbs.
Dude, okay, in our community,
yeah,
there's a guy named Sean O'Brien. Sean O'Brien 3D prints intake manifolds for Mopars, but he could 3D print an intake manifold for those 6 cylinders as long as it's not right next to the exhaust manifold where it would melt, right? Because it's plastic.
If you 3D print them, you could even cast it at home with sand.
You could cast it at home with sand, especially if you're just doing one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could literally cast it at home with sand, and you can get some aluminum melted up. You just kind of get an idea. You know, when he prints that, he can tell you how much material it is. Basically, you know, the volume of it. Then you get, you know, say 20% more in aluminum. Melt it down, scrape the slag off, pour it in there, call it good.
Oh, right. So, just right under that. That's what I was just getting ready to say. SSR Performance is not building a PVC cage. And I don't know what brought this about. Did I say something hackish?
No, that was me. Because I was saying that I've seen cars. I said, you could show up at some of these tracks with a PVC cage and nobody's even going to check it or know. And just
yeah, but at No Name Nationals, Deke will absolutely throw you out.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying is that the only place that's ever teched anything is the No Name Nationals since I've been here. Everywhere else, they just didn't give a shit. You just show up and run. Yeah, I did. In 2024, I did a lot of no prep racing in the Cookie Monster. I did pretty good for a little while there. It was fun. But I started seeing some of these cars that were running. I was running against, and they were just hack jobs, and they just didn't care. And it's like, do I really want to put my car that I've had forever up against some car that, like, my car was too nice to go up against some of these cars, and these cars they literally were all over the road. And I was like, I'm just here to have fun, and I don't care if I win. You obviously do. You can win. Fine. Congratulations, you win. I'm going to put my car in the trailer and go home. You know what I mean? I don't need to be wrecked by you.
So Buick Smith says, Dallas, on those 2.8 Ford pistons, are they true flat top or flat top with valve release? Okay, so they're not 2.8 Ford, they're 3.8 Ford. So the 3.8 Ford V6 that came in the Mustang was a very much a copy of the V6 Buick, right? The 3800 Series 2. It actually even has the same exact wrist pin diameter. And the bore is 3.811 versus 3.8. So it's 11 over. So it has, I think it has a little bit shorter stroke than the Buick one, 3.4. But either way, those pistons are, they're actually similar to the Buick, except for the dish is smaller. That was it. We were trying to get some compression out of it. And either way we did it, the pistons that we found for the 3.8 V6 was dished too much, and it was only like 8.2 to 1 compression. And with the 64 aluminum heads on it, that was like no gain whatsoever. And so we're like, okay, we'd rather be the other way. So now it's 10.8 to 1 with the aluminum heads, which makes it a little bit more reasonable because it'll be like, it'll be equal to having like 9.8 to 1 compression and then running on 93 octane gas.
Yeah. Moak saying that I always put studs on the heads for the valve covers, less chance of stripping the hole. It's funny you say that because if you guys were at PRI or SEMA, I designed a new valve cover for a big block Chevrolet, and I got a bunch of other valve covers coming, so check them out coming up soon. I can't tell you what they are, but that's literally what I do is I run all the bottom holes with studs, so that way when you put your valve cover gasket on there, it holds it. And then usually the top ones are going to be bolts that go down. It's because there's usually more area up there. But I always love to have studs if I can, because that way when you put a gasket on there, and especially if you're running a steel impregnated gasket, oh, it's even better. So I agree with you.
Aunt D says, didn't Lancia race a Group B car with a cardboard roll cage? I don't know anything about that, but I would not put that past somebody trying that before. When I was a young kid going to the drag races, there was cobbled shit everywhere, right?
Fence posts. I saw fence posts.
There was a car at our local track called the Pro Buffalo, right?
For real?
It was a B-body Mopar. It was like a Super B or, Belvedere or something. And it had a 426 Hemi with a blower. And I think the transmission was like a Crowder Glide. Isn't that what they were called? Crowder Glide? It was a 2-speed?
No, it's a Crowder Glide was basically just a
1-speed clutch.
Yeah, it's a 1-speed clutch. It basically just expands as the RPM goes up. It shrinks in there and basically just lets you go.
Okay. It might have been that, and back then, that thing was running like 850s in the quarter mile. That was stupid fast back then, right?
Yeah.
And this thing used to leave tires up twisted, like just twisted up. And it's a big 426 Hemi with a blower on it, so it's got tons of torque. Anyway. They crashed that sucker, and the roll cage was actually made out of exhaust tubing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did the guy make it, or?
No, he made it. He lived. Yeah.
Here's a stupid question. That just came to me. Does a roll cage have to be inside the car, or can it wrap? Outer wraps qualify.
I was just thinking about this. Okay, in a drag racing application, there's specific places that the roll cage has to be, but they are focused specifically on internal.
That's right.
Okay. And that is a good question to ask Deke when you see him at the No Name Nationals, but I believe they all have to be internal of the car.
The farther
the way it's written right now.
And the farther the roll cage is out from the points, the weaker it's going to be. The idea of it being in like this, you can triangulate it from the center, and that makes it strong. But if it's out here, you have less chance of triangulating it, so it's going to fold.
But I can see where that external roll cage, like especially the rock crawler guys, that's what they do.
But that's a rock crawler guy where they're not doing a bunch of speed. Now those cars roll over, but they roll over at slow speed, and they do that so they don't damage the car.
Yeah, you're right. You're correct, because it doesn't do 57 barrel rolls. At 140 miles an hour.
This would say 140. You're talking about a force, See if we got fence post exhaust.
Buick Smith says, "Sweet, we have one of those 3.8 liter Fords with a bad rod bearing at the towing shop. I will see if I can pull them out." Dude, all right, I'm going to tell you something sad. It might not even be worth your time because you can buy a complete set of them for like $180. And what we found was we tried to buy a complete set. Me and Clint bought a complete set, and then he was just going to buy the two replacement pistons for a V8, right? And it was cheaper to just buy a whole nother set of them. It's just I'll send you 4 of them or whatever he's got left over. They're not all that awesome, but I mean, if you want, you can pull them out. That's a lot of work for not very much money. Yeah, fence post exhaust.
Yeah, I was reading through some of these people. So he's saying that we had a guy show up one time with EMT conduit cage with elbows, unions, and all. And then there was another one here say that, right here. I believe the Lacania had a roll bar with cardboard inside for reinforcement. Don't ask me how it held up when welding. That's amazing. How do the people? Here's the thing. I think the amount of thought that they put in to go around the rules is just ridiculous. Just conform to it and be done.
Well, like for those that you didn't know, Pro Stock in the 90s was just flush with Mopars with nitrous on them.
Yes,
and
in the pipes.
It was hidden in the roll cage tubing of the car.
Yeah.
Right. And they pressurized this roll cage tubing. Here's the thing that blows my mind. All right. They would pressurize the nitrous bottle in that was the tube, and the tube had never been pressure tested. Right. Like to determine if it could hold 2000 PSI or whatever.
900. Yeah.
But I mean, isn't it normally pressure tested double of what it is?
Yeah.
What it rated? I think so.
Yeah.
And they'd never pressure tested. They just welded it together and then just pressurized it with nitrous. And that's the thing that just blows my mind. Like, what if the tubing was like the cross pattern behind your fucking head or something? I mean, golly, dude.
Yeah.
Boom.
And then you think about this too, is that all that tube, right? And that extra amount of weight, how did they figure out the volume and then heating it up? And then they have to have some sort of fill port. Where are they hiding the fill?
That's what I'm wondering is I bet it's on the bottom of that tube somewhere.
And then you're going to have a discharge tube, and then you're going to have some sort of safety valve of some sort to turn it on.
Yeah, you have to have something. There would have to be solenoids and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of do a lot about nitrous. It's just
Danny Boyd says another cage explosion. But and Blue Grit says NASCAR used tubing to hide NO2 also. I did not know that NASCAR did it as well. I mean, I guess it would make sense, but that would take a lot of the fun out of. Well, I guess if you want to win, it don't matter how much fun you're having.
Yeah, no problem, Levi. Just send it. Esplit or Edelbrock. Just send it there, and then I'll forward it over.
I forgot to tell you.
Yeah, what you got?
Okay, you remember how I was playing around with that 430 big block Buick, and I said it's the oddball. Nobody makes any real parts for it, stuff like that, because it's got its own bore size and stuff.
Yep.
Guess what I figured out?
What you got?
It has the exact same bore as, wait for it, a 413.
Mopar.
Right? Yeah, and you know what size the wrist pin is? The same size. And you know what the compression height is? It's 40 thousandths difference.
That's nothing.
I know, and the Buick piston sits 40 thousandths in the hole.
Well, that's a zero deck. Now you got a zero deck. That's
right,
awesome.
But then I got a flat top piston that was like peanuts money compared to a Buick 430 piston that was custom.
Right.
Yeah, I'm thinking I might be looking at a Mopar, 413, like a forged piston, and slam that sucker together with a standard bore.
Yeah. Here, Barrows is saying that Sammy Sturr just runs a monster truck, unnamed and untamed. He can do a 5-minute restyle, but he runs the coolant through the chassis main rails like they do in mining equipment. Yes, because the surface area on that would actually be more than a radiator because it's the whole thing. So if you do the amount of volume and how much surface area it is, it actually would work really, really, really good. And since the vehicle's always moving forward, all that area is cooling it. So yeah, that would be awesome.
Danny Boyd saying that the discharge is going through the engine mounts. I'm assuming they probably had some kind of rubber hosing that looked like fuel line going up to the carburetor.
Yeah.
Or
I think
underneath
what they did is it was drilled into the head is, way back then. Then they had the big break-in at the Wayne County race shop, and then
Oh yeah, and all the stuff got smashed.
and all their stuff got smashed. But what it was is that
They're
going through
covering
it,
up the nitrous stuff.
yeah, exactly. But they were running it through the cylinder head as they were porting it right into the cylinder head, and it was a
Oh.
dry system. And that's why those things ran like crap when they were idling down there, because they were super fat. And then they would just run the nitrous, and you didn't need to run a lot of nitrous. You run maybe 100 horsepower, 150. That's a big
shit.
deal.
Well, I mean, 25 horsepower would be a humongous difference in
Yeah.
road pack.
Yeah.
Well, SXR Performance says a lot of guys hit it in the dry sump tank.
Okay. Yeah,
I
can
didn't
see
know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, but that would be a good one because it has all kinds of plumbing coming in and out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. That totally makes sense. But they did hide. They did say that they hide the tank in the cage. They did say that. So
Okay, so I see this now. SSR Performance is saying NASCAR, they did it for qualifying, and that makes sense.
totally makes sense. Yeah.
I was like, man, why would you use that? It would not last very long.
Mhm.
If you had something that's hidden, I mean, don't get me wrong, a 20-pound nitrous bottle will last some time, but if it's just in the roll cage on the passenger side, you don't have a lot of squirt on there. That's the sneaky Pete, right?
But yeah, you
it
figure
makes sense to
one
do it
lap.
for qualifying when you just come out of turn 4 on the last lap of qualifying.
Yeah. Or just actually, because you would see that. What I would think they would do is probably just add, like, as soon as they cross the line, it's 36 seconds, right? Or whatever it is for, like, let's just say Talladega, right? So a 10-pound bottle, let's just say 10 pounds, you could literally run 25 horsepower or even 50 horsepower for 36 seconds and it would never drop. With that amount of volume going through it, it would be totally fine.
Huh.
And if you ran it as a dry system, 25 would actually act like 50.
Oh, because it's not taking up the space of the fuel.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh yeah, somebody figured out hollow carb studs to bypass the restrictor plate. That's a good one too.
It's genius. But they were also doing that with like vacuum ports. They were just leaving vacuum ports off the carburetors.
Yeah, and right now also too, go and check out WAF Racing. They're basically our sponsor. They're the ones that bring this to you guys for free. So go check him out. He's got a lot of cool stuff there. Lots of little odds and ends for your drag and drive or pit thrash stuff, spark plugs. Dallas got a little to-go pack. So did I, little care package. And it's really awesome stuff, man. It's really good.
Let's see. John Wilburn says Rusty Glidden had a tiny hardline glassed into the hood scoop and it connected via the mounting studs.
Wow.
The bottle was in the weight bar at the rear bumper.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
so it just fogged.
Way awesome.
So basically, it didn't even go into the engine. It basically fogged above the engine. And
I love it. And as all the vacuum was coming in, the air pressure was just pushing it right down the carburetor. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Jason's Garage Inc. says we were at Columbus when Jerry Ekman's oil tank blew up from the juice being inside, and it was hot out, and the pressure increased.
Oh, yeah, dude, that makes sense, right? Because they're not going to have a blow-off valve on those.
They're not going to have anything. Just like back here, Brian Brinker says it's best at Dust Devil Garage. He says, well, if someone's going to cheat, you can't expect them to be safe.
Right, exactly. Dude, right? Exactly.
Yeah, I think that we need to make a shirt like that. That's a badass saying for a t-shirt.
Speaking of nitrous, is there any downside to gapping the rings for nitrous when building an NA engine if you want to put nitrous on it later? No, there's no downside to it. Just break the engine and fine. I've always ran bigger than factory gap for the longest time, just in case I ever wanted to run nitrous. It doesn't make any difference at all. Not at all.
Dude, I did that. Remember that 40 over 350 Buick I got from you that was in the Connex box?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what I called it. Like Boat Anchor 350, I think is what I called it.
That's what it was. Yeah.
I gapped those suckers out to 28 thousandths I was going to run a turbo on it. And I ended up, it was like right at the beginning of the divorce, and I ended up just putting all the stock stuff back on it and sold it at the Buick Nationals. Dude, that thing started up and it didn't smoke not one bit.
No blow by or anything. It doesn't make any difference.
It had 28 thousandths gap rings, which are supposed to be like naturally aspirated, supposed to be like 18.
Yeah.
You know,
And
I don't think it really makes that much of a difference.
it doesn't. It just it really it's it because you got a gap on one side, gap on the other, plus you have the oil rings, and it's going up and down. It's happening so fast. As long as everything's put together right, it's going to be just fine. And I used to worry about that so much, and now it's like I just open them up, a little more than I should, but I do that for safety, and also if I ever want to put juice to it, I can.
Oh, so Mohawk 62 says, I've seen guys hide the NO2 tubes under the intake, and the input line was the wink wink oil PSI line.
Ah,
All right. Way back when I first started getting into stuff, into hot rodding, I was a young buck. When I was 16 years old, I asked my dad for my birthday for a subscription to Hot Rod Magazine. And right about the time I got it was just a couple months before the whole Fast Streetcar America shootout thing blew up. No, it was probably like my 15th birthday, I guess, because I was in high school, but I don't think I had a driver's license. And anyway, my junior year, so I'd have been 17, I guess, my junior year. There was an article that came out, and I'm going to say that was 1993. There was an article that came out in Hot Rod Magazine about the trickiest street racers in Southern California, right? Which was about all the guys that run around this place called Terminal Island. Is the Brotherhood of Street Racers. Real legit when it comes to racing history and stuff. That's Big Willie and the boys. If you've ever watched Gone in 60 Seconds, or not Gone in 60 Seconds, oh my God, Two Lane Blacktop, the very beginning, that's a race at Terminal Island with the freaking Brotherhood of Street Racers.
that's them. Yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, there was a dude that had plumbed nitrous, had the sneaky Pete behind the dash and plumbed the nitrous through a fake vacuum brake booster to the bottom of the intake manifold on a stock intake. And it was a 78 Pontiac Grand Am, Grand Am. It was the square one. And they only made them like 78, 79, where they had the pointed front end on them, but they were really square like a Malibu. And every Pontiac engine is the same deck height. It's an intermediate block. They all look the same. So it had this crazy 14-to-1 compression 455 Pontiac in this 78 Grand Prix with a stick shift, or Grand Am with a stick shift. And it had the nitrous plumbed under the intake manifold and had the stock 2 1/4 inch exhaust coming out the back, right? And it had the full hubcaps on it, full hubcaps, like it went around the whole wheel, like a Pontiac Parisian would have had, right? And behind the hubcaps was the screws to the wheels, where they had screwed the wheel to the rim, right? Or the wheel to the tire.
Yeah.
And it was one of the slickest street machine pieces I'd ever seen, like street race cars. And this thing was like, you do a burnout, that 2 1/4 inch exhaust, and then he just flicks the switch and opens the cutouts, and it's like, oh my God, what did I just pull up next to? Pro Mod?
Right. Yeah. I just love that, because I would show up, like I've said this many times. I had a car and I couldn't afford slicks. I had dirt track tires, right? And I would show up, and then people, it's a 360 Dodge. Back then, 400 horsepower, 450 out of one that's doing all right. So they knew that's about 450 horse. The car weighs, about 2,800, 3,000 pounds, because I didn't have a big cage in it at that point. It's a little lighter than it is now. And I would show up, and I was just ruining these guys' day, and they just couldn't figure it out. And I wasn't purging the line or anything, but that was before there was, you're basically your button, your finger, how fast you could rattle that finger. That was your progressive system. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't hit it in first gear. I was hitting it in basically in second going to third. So that way it wasn't so obvious, it was kind of like you would see the car, both of us would be kind of, and then as soon as I hit second gear, I was like, yeah, that's when I'm flooring it, but that's actually when I'm hitting the juice, so I kind of hid that when I was hitting it,
Well, what I was saying about that Pontiac, is like, that was the article that inspired me about the street racing stuff, was that article. I can't remember what it was called. It probably came out somewhere around 1992, 1993.
That's awesome.
And it was like the fastest street racers in Southern California. But that Pontiac, I want to say that thing was running like mid eights. You know, it was, and it looked killer. I mean, it looked like a stock 78 grandma Grand Am.
Yeah.
Golly, it was wicked. But you know what's cool about that is like the Pontiac has no intake manifold that's bolted to the block, right? Well, it's bolted to the heads, but it's open in the
Yeah,
valley.
it's open underneath. Yeah.
Right. But he ran the nitrous lines down through the brake booster that was fake, and then ran a manual brake booster or a master cylinder on it when it looked like it had a brake booster on it with the vacuum line. And it was inside the intake manifold and had one. Remember those little turtles that you could get?
Yeah, I know exactly what they are. Yeah.
And you put them inside the intake manifold and glue them down, right?
Yeah, you glue them or bolt them from underneath. And so I've ran the turtle. I've ran one of those. But the problem with the turtles is that they'll notice that there's bolts bolted underneath it. So I've done it too, where I've had an intake and I've used the port because you'll drill a hole in there, and that was like where the line's at, and that was my spray bar. I took my Big Shot kit and I took it apart because all it was just two brass rods, right? And instead of putting one like this, I put them this way, put them both long ways, and then I ran it back. Now they had big long holes, and I would put the jets on the inside of the car with the solenoids on the inside of the car so they wouldn't hear them. So it looked like two little lines going through a brake line, basically a vacuum line going up to the bottom of it coming from the back of the car. But when you have an air cleaner on top of it, nobody's noticing that. They don't see that kind of stuff. And that's literally what it was. It was my Big Shot kit that I had taken apart because I found out really quick when you go out of town and you have a nitrous plate, nobody wants to race you. Nobody. You would drive out there. Yeah, it's over with. And you beat one guy and then you're done for the night. And that was your $50 race to get your $300 race. And you're like, damn, man. And that back then, in the 90s and early 2000s, the $300 race was like, that was a big deal. People, it's not like 10,000 like you hear nowadays. $300, you're like, wow,
So SSR Performance says, so is nitrous allowed to be sprayed on the outside of the intake of Triple Crown? Still NA, just cooling things off?
Negative.
Yeah, that's a big no.
Negative. And Fab saying this here, he says, there is no shame in a set of used dirt track.
No, man, that used to be how it was done because back then, like, okay,
there
was no freaking drag radial.
No, there wasn't.
Right? There was no cheater slick. Like you were stuck with, you could get a cheater slick, which was a recap. A McCreary recap used to be the ticket, right?
But you could see that. Like you could see that going down the road.
It's a dead giveaway.
Yeah.
The other thing that was not a dead giveaway was the Hoosier Quick Times, and you use brake cleaner and you take the white lettering off.
Yes.
Right. And they what was neat was the Hoosier Quick Time had a generally short sidewall. But if you had a car that was like let's say a 13-inch tire car, like a Nova, they looked almost legit. Like you could put Nova hubcaps on them and nobody would really be the wiser.
Yeah. What I did is I would put the dirt track tires on, and then it would say not DOT approved, and it was all big and bold.
Yeah.
I literally would put the car on jack stands, and I would get it was like a polisher, and I would polish the side of the tire, and it would just look like a black rubber tire. It would have no more lettering on it. It didn't say not DOT approved. And it had tread on it. So when you're driving down the road, you could see tread. And when you stopped at a light, the cop shined his light at it. You would see that there was tread, and then that he would just, leave you alone. Because they were going really after the imports. They really didn't mess with us domestic guys.
Yeah.
Because there was really no tickets. There was no smog loss. My car was 66. Well, at that time it was 66, and then I had the 70. But they never messed with us for that.
Yeah, I had that 66 Mercury. And it was a pile, and I never got pulled over. Like, no one ever pulled me over. And what was funny was like I was always generally the last guy out of there. Well, I wasn't racing. My shit was always parked down at the end. But that's where if you were racing, down in that industrial park, I don't even know, is that industrial park even still there?
Oh yeah, people still race there.
Really?
What's his name? The guy who does all the really good
1320?
No. This is the guy that's part of our crew when we were in SoCal. He does he does all the really bitchin' paint jobs on the car. I can't remember his name.
Nafty Figueroa.
That's right. He still goes down there and street races. They still street race on that road down there.
Well, I remember because you go in the industrial park and turn right, and it was a dead end down there, right?
Yep, exactly.
And you
Yep.
would go, well, you would actually turn right, and then it would T, and then go
And
to
then
the
you go the
right,
other
and
way.
it was a
Yeah.
dead end.
Yeah.
And that's where everybody would park. So
Mhm.
you wanted to be first in there, and then you generally are going to be last out.
Yeah.
That way you got to park.
So Dust Devil saying something awesome. So Shane, that block that you worked over for me is getting built this year for those heads. I texted you last week. Awesome. Here's the thing, man. If you haven't known what I did, I did a block for him. I did one for Andy for a 318, Impossible 318, which is a flat tap at all the RPM. Then I did one for Brian here. And these are basically the modifications that I do for either flat tap it, solid, or solid roller. And then the one I did for Brian is what I do for something that's hydraulic, like a juice style, solid hydraulic roller or hydraulic flat tap it. And he's got some awesome heads. And so if you go check it out, you're going to watch that build. If you go to my channel, you can see it's a hydraulic roller oiling mods, and then you'll see it get built there. But I'm telling you right now, this is how you make these things survive at high RPM, and you'll have no oiling problems at all with these things, like doing that. So I'm looking forward to that, dude.
John Wilburn says, no one pulls me over in the van, but I think they're just afraid of it. I think they're afraid what they're going to find on the inside.
Exactly.
Right?
Dude, if you just rode around with free candy, that would just be the best, dude.
That's what you need to put on the plates.
Yeah, free candy. That should be your that's right. That should be your custom plate. Free candy.
Free candy. WL Howell says, on a different subject, on your dash ammeter swap to a voltmeter, what did you do with the ammeter wires?
I just tied them together. You can basically just get rid of them. So one where it comes in and then where it goes out, you cut those two and then you touch them together. So then also too, what I did is that I'm not running all the power off the alternator coming through the the bulkhead and then back out. I just bypass that so that it goes basically straight from that straight over to the battery, and I bypass that, and then I take the battery wire that comes off the bulkhead, and I go straight over to the battery for there. Or you can even go to your solenoid, your starter solenoid. So you can come from the alternator, starter solenoid, and then go to your battery. But all you need is just touch those together and go back over to that, because that way you can eliminate the fires, because you're going to have so much voltage drop by going through the bulkhead one way, then back out the bulkhead. Just get rid of all that, run it over, tie it together. You're good to go.
Mohawk 62 says, I have a set of those Hoosier Quick Times. They've been sitting on my shelf for over 30 years and they still look new.
That's badass.
Yeah, what you need to do is probably, you know what would be cool?
Smoke show.
Well, I think what would be cool is like make a 1990 street racer, because that would be the legit tire.
Yeah,
that you would use for a street racer in the 90s.
Or just bring them out there and put them in the burnout pit, and just because those things will smoke, man.
Oh, they do good burnouts.
Yeah,
they're so well. I guess yours probably 30 years old. They aren't as soft as what they once were, because they used to be so soft you could just stick your fingernail in them.
Yeah, you could feel it would cut it.
Yeah.
Did you ever get like a pair of used ones? Like you could get people's used
only ones I ever got was the used ones.
Yeah. I tried to run them, but they were so used they were worthless. So I was like, so then I would just use them for like burnouts and stuff. But I would still put them on, take them off. But I only got one set that were actually I could race over the weekend. But I had more luck with dirt track tires than ever, because those guys would only run them for one feature, take them off, and then I could go almost 2 months on a set of dirt track tires, and that's racing every weekend.
Well, the Quick Times that I got, the first set I ever got was like 10 inches wide, right?
Oh wow!
And I put them on a stock 15x7 Buick wheel, so it was like bunched up like a freaking rubber band in the middle, right?
Yeah.
And the ones I got were already worn out to the point where they were pretty much slicks in the center.
Yeah.
So I mean, they worked fine. They would hook the car up. I ended up breaking my 7.5-inch rear end with those things on there, but it just, I didn't use them very long, and I bought a set of slicks, 26x8 slicks.
Yeah. Did you solder them together? Absolutely. Also, too, where it goes through the bulkhead, I remember punching those pins out and then running a new a number 10 wire out. But I'm telling you, get rid and run a dash 8 from run an 8 wire from the alternator to the starter relay, and then run the number 10 back in. That way it's not looping through your car anymore. And that will stop all fires and stop everything. And just for safety, I put a fuse that goes into the dash area because that's unfused. I put a fuse on there, like a 40 amp fuse. But that runs basically everything else that goes in there. And if you take that dash out, you'll see that the wire comes in and it has about 7 different, joints where it basically goes off everywhere after it goes through your amp meter. Man, we're getting down to this 2 hours.
We're getting down to the wire here.
Wow.
We're running out of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once again, don't forget our sponsor, WAF Racing, makes it possible for you. This guy's paying all our bills right now. He's paying for this. He's paying for StreamYard, so that way it's free and we can bring it to you guys. And that's what he's doing. So go check him out, support him, because if you guys don't buy something, he might just say, you know what, these guys are douchebags. We're not going to do this anymore, and I'm not going to sponsor them.
Yeah, they're not pumping them enough.
Right. So go buy something. Instead of spending super chats, go over there and buy something from WAF Racing. I'm telling you, the jet kit's awesome. The 2 best things I think right now that I have is a carb holder that has the spark plug holder right up on top and the carburetor stand. Those if you get those 3 things, change your life because it changes everything. It's amazing.
And I think you should just go over there because, he's a cool dude. I mean, he obviously cares about YouTube and automotive, content going on further and further.
And I've got to tell you right now, he's look for some really cool things because he's going to be testing some new products from Edelbrock. In fact, he's going to have some really, really, really cool stuff. And he's going to be doing some Dragon drives and testing a bunch of products for us. And then on 666, that's where we're going to let some stuff hang out. So keep an eye on that, on things coming for that too.
Bear Rose is saying that back in the 80s and 90s, when wipers were actually made of rubber, I used to dip a rag in brake fluid and wipe off the wipers. You would get another year out of them.
Yeah, I did that. I did it with alcohol.
Have you noticed that the wipers these days,
crap,
literally they work fine. 23 months, 24 months, they just explode and fall apart.
Yeah, I had some of my
car thing disintegrates.
But see, I lived in Southern California. I would have wipers on my car sometimes 3 or 4 years. Here, they barely last. I'm getting them from Costco, like the ones they're the really good ones. And because it's half the cost. The wiper blades here are $36 for a blade, and they barely last 6 months. I'm putting blades on both my cars.
I usually get 2 years out of them, but
I don't. I barely get 6 months out of them,
dude. Okay, so there is a trick to those. If you want to extend the life of them, I put Rain-X on them. I've
done that. I've done Rain-X. I even have the Rain-X washer fluid that goes on. I think what it is because on my truck, when it goes to 0, it puts so much pressure on them, it folds it up like this. So when it goes this direction, it wipes fine, but when it goes this direction
backwards,
so when it goes this direction, it basically just smears it. So it works fine when it goes this way. You're like, I can see, I can't see, I can see, I can't see.
But Dust Devil Garage is saying, is WAF Racing going to be at No Name Nationals?
Probably not, because he's going to be probably going to 666 right off the bat. So I'm coming to No Name Nationals, but I'm going to be leaving probably either Friday night or Saturday morning. It really depends on day 0 what happens on.
You know what? I forgot he does all the sick week stuff, so he would be going to 666.
Yes, exactly. So he's going to be going there. So he's not going to be there. The plan was for him to go and do all that stuff and be there, and kind of check out his car and all the stuff that he's got going. But yeah, it's just not going to happen. But man, with that, we're
out of time. We're out of here. It's been Wednesday night now. You've been tech talked.
Yeah. You've been tech talked for 2 hours. So once again, man, thanks for showing up, everyone. It was awesome. I
like the quote of the night, right?
Yes.
Well, if you're cheating, you can't be expected to be safe. You'll be expected to be safe. There you go.
That's a t-shirt right there, man, or a bumper sticker, right?
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, everyone. You guys have a great week. We'll see you guys next week right here, where the only 2 people here will actually give you real tech talk, give you real answers, with two human beings, man, that are real people. So,
Val 360 Jimmy says, "I'd never thought you'd be talking about wiper blades on Tech Talk." There you go.
that's right.
There's your great life hack. Put some Rain-X on the blade.
That's right. Exactly. And don't forget, actually, before I get out of here, don't forget to go see Mr. John Wilburn on John Wilburn on Friday night, 7 Central on his channel. He's always got something going on. I let it play in the background. I always go in there and I always give him as much viewing as I can while I'm in this room here doing other things. But it's always good to go and watch it. And he's always got something going on. So go check him out.
And
with that,
we're out.
you guys take